your latest news update from Western Mass News.
Good Thursday afternoon. I'm Chris Pisano with a look at your headlines. A major storm heading our way. Could be snow or rain depending on where you live. The Springfield DPW is asking residents to be aware of potential flooding that may occur. They ask that you clean or clear downspouts to avoid flooding in your home. Outgoing Governor Charlie Baker will be the next president of the National Collegiate Athletics Association, also known as the NCAA. He will succeed longtime President Mark Emmert, who announced in June that he'd be stepping down. Governor Baker has a background in sports. He played on the men's basketball team during his time at Harvard. Baker says he's honored to take on the new role. After learning that Stephen Twitch Boss, the beloved dancer and longtime DJ for the Ellen DeGeneres Show, died by suicide, health experts are raising awareness on what can be done to prevent these tragedies. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide, help is available 24/7. Just call or text 988.
I'm meteorologist Jana Brown with a check of your forecast. Our first alert weather day begins late tonight as we're anticipating a fairly potent storm system to impact the high elevations. Winter storm warnings have been issued for all of Berkshire County and then the hill towns of Franklin, Hampshire and Hamden counties. There's a winter weather advisory for central and eastern Franklin County, but nothing is up for central and eastern Hampshire and Hamden counties. So it's all elevation dependent. The higher up you are, the more snow you're expected to see, with the highest elevations in the northwestern hills picking up a foot or more. Now, there will be some low impact for the valley due to rain and wind, but also a little bit of wet snow mixing in, possibly during Friday morning's commute and then again Friday evening. So tonight, temperatures down into the 30s, most staying above freezing. Rain gets going, snow gets going close to midnight, and then overnight we'll continue to see that precipitation get heavier. For tomorrow morning's commute, it is definitely going to be a slower one due to the rain in the valley, a little snow mixing in, and then Hilltown snow that will continue to pile up through the high elevations. Temps are going to be on the mild side, though. For a storm system like this, highs will be in the mid to upper 30s for most, with gusty breezes out of the east. Snow showers will taper off early Saturday morning, and then we dry out for the rest of the weekend. Highs will be in the mid 30s on Sunday with a healthy breeze.
Stay with Western Mass News on air, online, and on our app throughout the day for breaking news, weather, and exclusive content.